Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Gallagher, and I am with a company called Eurowall. Eurowall is a manufacturer of large glass moving products. Could be a folding door, could be a sliding system, could be a pivot, or could be a stacking system. Some of the things we're going to touch on today. Eurowall is a manufacturer, as I said, that's located in the state of Florida. For some of you that don't know us, we are manufactured in Northport, Florida, which is about halfway between Sarasota and Fort Myers. We're about a mile off the highway. Would love for have you guys come see us sometime and get a tour of the facility. I am joined today by two of my co-workers, Wade Mammon, who is the sales director for Eurowall, and then also Bethany Ollison, who is our architectural rep as well, located out of the Northport office. If any of you guys do have some questions, please put them in the chat box or the Q&A box. I'm sorry, put them in the Q&A box, and then these two will be answering them. If there's anything more specific, please let us know, and we can either join you offline at a later date or answer them, after the presentation's over with. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen so that you guys don't have to look at my mug all for the next hour. And we're going to go ahead and jump into this. The presentation we're going to be doing today is solutions for large openings in windborne and coastal areas. All right. Obviously, this is an AIA accredited course. Certificates are going to be sent to all the participants today. Anything that I or two of my coworkers say are obviously not an endorsement from AIA. And we got more legal mumbo jumbo. So a little bit about Eurowall. I told you about that. I told you where we're located. We are a 14-year-old company and just continue to grow with multiple products. When we first started out, it was a folding system. And as you're going to see as we go through this, we have clearly expanded our product mix. Excited to kind of share some of that with you. What we're going to talk about, types of door systems, door hardware, benefits and applications. We're going to show you some different large openings and places you may not have thought of using them. We're going to talk about structural components, what these systems are made out of. Obviously, not all systems are created equally. And we're going to talk about how these things make a perfect product for either a commercial or residential area in a coastal area or anywhere in the state of Florida for that matter, or the Caribbean or any other place located in the U.S. Some of the things we're going to talk about large glass openings, what they can do, what their function are, and their impact performance benefits are. As we know, we've gotten hit by 2 storms already here in the state, so how these benefit. We're going to talk about large operable walls, how they can be used in high velocity hurricane zones. By achieving the max sizes, you guys always want to push the envelope and get bigger openings on us. So you're pushing us to make sure that we can create these products. Next thing, we're going to talk about the components and materials that these systems are made out of. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with the different types of configurations and what can you actually do with these systems. All right, let's talk about the large glass openings and describe their form and function. I always like to start with folding because that's where we started and where we kind of cut our teeth. Folding systems, as you guys know, have been around for a while. You know that they are hinged to each other and they stack at a jamb. They either stack inside or outside of that opening, and typically stack to one side or the other. But there are some caveats to that, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. What you're seeing here is a folding system. In that lower opening, you've got a system that stacks left and right, meeting in the center, stacking to the outside. As we like to say, these things kind of operate like a train. As a train starts to move down the track, it's pulling the other cars with it. With the same thing with folding, because they are hinged to each other. As you start to move one, they all kind of follow behind, which is nice. Here you see an inward stack system, which is not an issue as well. And then you can also see one large stacking system. So if you've ever been told by another manufacturer that you're limited to the number of panels you can stack on one side, some manufacturers love to tell you can only go 6 to one side. We're not going to tell you that. We're going to allow you to do 14 panels all to one side. which is really pretty neat. Commercial application you're going to see here, traversing in and out of the restaurant onto the patio. How are we able to achieve that? We've got an ADA sill that meets compliance and allows you to go in and out of that opening as well. And what you're going to see here are some of the largest and widest panels in the on the market. We can do panel widths up to 52 inches wide, so a little over 4 feet wide. And we can do panel heights at, depending on where we're located. If we're in HVAC, which we're going to talk about here in just a second, which is the tip of Florida, Dade, Collier, and Monroe counties, we can go to 12 feet tall. If we're anywhere else outside the state, outside of that area, in a non-HVAC in a wind zone 3, we can go to 14 feet tall. Again, you're just seeing another system for a commercial application. We get asked all the time, can you guys do a swing door with a panic device? And our answer is yes. So before, if you ever wanted to use a folding door system with a swing door at the jam, you always had to marry the product approval from the door company and take the product approval from the hardware company. And you put them together and you prayed that the local municipality building department would accept it. So we heard from our customers that they were rejecting a lot of this. So this past year we went and we tested our system with a panic device. So now you can do a 10-foot tall system with a panic device. We will provide that panic device. So that way you're not having to do anything by others. The door is going to be prepped. All the locking rods are going to be inside the system. So that way, when you're ready to get out, you open it. If you have a need for a closer, not an issue there as well. So we always ask that if you're going to have a panic and closer, we got to put it at the jam. So that way, when you open it, it comes back to its original resting spot. One of the caveats and something cool that we just designed this year as well, and it now has Florida product approval. Say if you had this opening right here that you're looking at in the center, and say that's a 20-foot opening and you needed to have a panic enclosure. The only way you could always achieve this before was you had to have the panel here on the right-hand side that swung out that you see there on the other side, and then the other 4 panels going back to the opposite side. It drove interior designers crazy. It drove everybody nuts because they wanted to take that stack and they wanted everything to go to one side. Well, there's no way you could ever achieve that because you had to have that closing device. So it had to be at that jam. So now we have the ability to take in groups of 2s, 4s, or 6s. These panels are hinged to each other, like I said earlier, but the caveat is they're not hinged to a jam, so they float. So you can now take that 4 panels that you see there on the left-hand side, and you can now open them and swing them all the way back against that door that's at the jam right there. So you can now stack 5 panels all to one side. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. Or if you had a large run where you wanted to have a door at both sides and then, panels in the middle, how are you going to achieve that before? So now if you want to do a 6 panel system, a door at one jam on the right and a door at the other jam on the left, you can open those up and the 4 panels in the middle can now go to either side. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. This is great for interior applications as well. So if you ever wanted to do conference room or space management, say you had a 30-foot opening and you had one large room, but you wanted to divide it down. So you could take a folding system and run it down the middle of that room to where that wall would be. And now you can have a door in the front of that opening that would have a door at one jam, door at the other jam. And you could have, say, 10 panels in the middle. So now you created 2 smaller conference rooms and you now have egress to get out of either side of those conference rooms. So it's really cool how we can kind of do this now, and it gives you a lot of flexibility with folding system. Now, one of the caveats that I want to talk about is the height. So I want to kind of set this up. The gentleman that you see here, he's our coworker. His name's Jordan. If you've ever met him, he's about 6'5". He's long and lanky. The system that you see that he's operating here in just a second is a 14-foot tall folding system. And one of the things that's really impressive about this in a commercial application, if you ever wanted to have a swing door, they always told you had to keep it at 10 feet tall. Oh, and by the way, you also had to keep it attached to the jam because that door is used so many times. A lot of manufacturers will tell you, no, you got to have it at the jam because of use. they were worried about it, not performing over the longevity of that opening. So Jordan here is going to operate a system at a retail location that I'm sure a lot of you have been to. And you're going to see here as he starts to operate that, you can see it's a 3-panel system. He's going to engage it. He's going to lock it in the middle with the locking rods. And then he's going to close a swing door on panel number 3. And at 14 feet tall. You can see that it's in the state of Florida. You see palm trees and the reflection of the glass. So a 14-foot tall folding system. Now, this is not an egress door. There is an egress door to the other side, so it didn't need to meet panic, and code requirements. This door is open pretty much, 363 days a year. It's closed 2 times. That system's been in place now for about 24 months. We've had no issues whatsoever. So it just impressed me to see a door at 14 feet tall in a commercial application and how easily he closed that. Here's another application over on the east coast of Florida, up near Stewart. And you're going to see here, we get asked all the time about window units. So you can see here, it's a restaurant. She's going to open the systems up so the tables next to those windows get the sights and sounds of the bay down below in the marina. And here it is on the open side. So you can see here we have 2 layers, 2 floors off of ground that we have outswings for window units overlooking the restaurant here, which is really pretty spectacular. Again, here's a bar top application. We do get asked if we do windows. When this presentation was made, we were currently not doing windows. We were doing cut downs in either folding or sliding. I'm happy to say that next year when you come back and see our presentation, we're going to have casement windows that are going to be operable windows that have already been tested and meet Florida product approval to heights of 8 feet, 96 inches. So you're talking about a big casement window. Back in my day, we called that a door. But, like I said, you guys are making openings bigger and bigger. Not an issue. We can now do that. Interior applications, I know this is talking about coastal, but if you do have a need, you can see here that space management, again, not an issue. Retail locations, this is huge. Now when you do a retail location, the only way to secure material is to these roll down screens. Because we do offer forced AMBA testing, we've tested it that we can give you, that you can give your clients. They know that when they lock something up, it's going to be safe and secure. Unfortunately, as we turn on the news, which I try to stay away from, we hear about businesses, they leave them, they find, or homes for that matter, they leave them. When they come back, they don't find them as they left them. But now you have the retail location here that you can quickly open up your business. You can pull retail racks out if you have them into that space. And then when it's time to close them, you quickly close them up. You lock them, you're safe and secured. At night, if window shoppers are walking by, they're not looking through a mesh pull-down screen, they're looking through glass so they can see what's being offered by the retail establishment. They can come back and shop there when it's opened. Radius folding systems, we're going to talk about that later, but we have Florida product approval for a radius system. We can do an inward or outward radius. We can do a radius up to about 4.5 degrees. What you're seeing here is a slight radius. The tighter the radius, the more narrow the panels are. So this is a segmented system that I'll get into a little bit later. It's not curved glass, it's actually straight glass because it is segmented. That fact is that the tighter the curve, the more narrow the panel is to get around that turn. And I'll talk about the sill and the header and what kind of sets us apart down the road here from our radius system compared to some of the other manufacturers out there. Here, you're going to see a radius system that's a little bit tighter. You're going to see the panels are narrow. Open corner configuration. We can do an inward or outward corner that meets Florida product approval in both HVAC and Wind Zone 3. This is a system where you have one system that's going to go back to the adjacent jam, and the other one's going to go back to the opposite jam, leaving a completely open corner. I wish we could show this to you closed because when it comes together, you're going to notice that there's not a large locking post that these things lock to. Some of the other manufacturers that you might have spec'd before that have open corners, they have a 4x4 post on there that they lock into. We do not. And we're able to achieve this with, a design pressure of plus or minus 70, which is really nice. Here's just an operation of a folding system. You get to hear, I'm gonna turn Levi down. So I apologize for the sound. I thought there was no sound here, but you see how quickly and easy these things are opened and closed, hinge to each other, makes it form and function really easy. All right, we're going to switch gears and we're going to go start talking about a sliding system. So sliding system has been on the market for us for about 6 years now. It is clearly becoming the dominant product for us. We all know, even though we have some amazing views in the state of Florida, it's hot. And no one really likes to open their systems up that much. They love their air conditioning. We probably have about 3 months out of the year, if we're lucky, that we get those nice temperatures that we can open everything up. As we know with folding, even though we can do 52-inch wide panels, we still have two panels when they come together, creates a large vertical there. Where the two locking meters there. So with sliding, we did something a little bit different. These are minimal sliders. The system that you're looking at can be achieved in two different fashions. Again, we have two product approvals for HVAC. These systems can be done at 12 feet tall. In Wind Zone 3, they can be done at 14 feet tall. Now, the difference is the panel width. In HVAC, we can do a panel width up to 60 inches wide, 5 feet, or in Wind Zone 3, we can do 7 feet, 84 inches. Where this is really cool, though, is just think about that system there. If we're down in the Keys and that system is 12 feet tall and that opening is 10 feet wide, the interlock that you're looking at is less than an inch. It's 15/16 of an inch. So now it's all about what you're looking at when the system's closed, instead of having to open everything up to enjoy the view. Now you get to enjoy the view when the system's closed because of that small interlock. For those of you that are not in HVAC zones, or you're not designing there, imagine a 14-foot by 14-foot tall system, 7-foot panels with just that interlock at 15/16. This system, again, has incredible performance. We'll talk about that, but the water rating on this thing with an embedded sill can be at 15 PSF. So this is a phenomenal system. Here you're going to see Scott operate the door. And we have too much of a narration. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Mark, I'm not hearing the video, so I think you're okay. I mean, we're seeing it, but I'm not hearing it, so I think.
Having technical difficulty. Sorry about that. I lost you guys for a second and I ran into some technical difficulty and my system jumped ahead. And it went all the way back. Let me get to where we were. I apologize for the technical difficulties. All right, there we are. So you guys got to see that one.
Yeah, we now see, oh, there you are. Yeah, we're not
There
hearing
we go.
the videos.
Okay. Yeah, they're narrated, so I turned them down. I do apologize for that, everyone. So we saw Scott. I'm not going to let you guys see Scott again because that caused issues. But the sliding system, again, can be used in a commercial application because I mentioned earlier that sill can be embedded. This is a restaurant in Sarasota, Libby's. It's one of Wade's favorite places to eat when he's in town. But you'll notice here that they were able to embed that sill, and now they can easily traverse in and out of that opening. One of the reasons how they're able to make this an ADA compliant sill is, and I'll show you the details here in just a second, but if you can look down in between the track there and where the panels are riding, you can see the black strips. There's in between that, so probably about a gap that's about 2 inches. And if you saw the sill details, you're like, there's no way that can meet ADA compliance. You can do infill in there. And you'll notice here they took concrete strips and they actually used infill for that. So that way the polished concrete from the outside to the inside matched it, and the sill just virtually disappears. You can use tile, or you can use the aluminum infill that we provide that matches the sill. This way the sill totally disappears, which I really love. Again, just more pictures of a sliding system. The ability to be able to do massive openings. Wade just recently finished a system that was 60 feet long at 11 feet tall. This was up in the Hamptons in New York. It's motorized, so maybe next year on the presentation, you'll be able to see that. But the ability to be able to do a large opening with minimal sight lines is, which is amazing. All right, we're going to switch on to pivot. And pivot systems for us obviously started out as a highly residential project product, but recently we've started seeing a lot of it in a commercial application, and we'll kind of talk about that. You're going to see a reoccurring theme with us. If I was there with you live, I'd ask you a question, but HVAC, 12 feet tall, 5 feet wide panels. In a non-HVAC, we can do 14 feet tall, up to 7 feet wide. Wade just recently finished a project with one of his reps in Fort Lauderdale where they did a 8 foot by 8 foot pivot door, which turned out to be really cool. The pivot point on this can be anywhere from about 7.5 inches from the jamb all the way to 50%. So halfway you can do a 50-50 pivot. The larger the pivot panel, as far as the width, we are going to have to slide that pivot point out just a little bit, so that way it bounces that panel. This is a top supported system. The pivot point is down low into this into the floor, so that way if you're doing a really wide pivot door, you want to have that balance point, so that way it's not cantilevering or tipping on you. You're going to hear Levi again here. But look how easily that thing opens and closes. So the ability to open and close this easily, there's no sill with this. So with no sill, no water rating. You're going to need an overhang with this system. And we all know the rule of thumb, whatever the height of the door is, that overhang needs to be about 1.5 times that. We all know that this sometimes is not realistic. And sometimes these overhangs, especially in these more modern, contemporary looking homes or buildings, can sometimes be at the second level or third level. So we do offer water management, and that's something that we can talk to you guys about. So that way you do have the ability to manage water that could be wind driven, that would get to the system, that will weep it out of there. We are in the process, first quarter of 2025. We're going to have a pivot system with a sill that will be more like a lift and slide with a plunger system. It's already in the works. So that way you will have a pivot panel at some of these sizes that I just mentioned that will now have a water rating. So stay tuned. Again, this is our showroom in Dania Beach. Wait, Levi got cut off again, but what he was going to say, despite the maximum weight loads, you can see how easily she's able to operate that door, open and close it. Again, if you're thinking about insulated impact in a HVAC, 12 feet tall, 5 feet wide, you're looking at about 9 pounds per square foot. But the ability to open and close these things, you saw how easily these things were open and closed. This is our showroom down in Dania Beach. We welcome anyone to come look at it anytime. It's a lockbox situation, so you can come and go at any time you'd like. Just reach out to Bethany and Wade, and they can get you into that access. And again, different infill. We get asked all the time about infill glass. What type of glass can you guys use? You're going to notice here we have a privacy. We have a white interlayer system here. The system before with that Levi was operating, you saw muttons. Those are actually simulated divided lights. They're surface supplied muttons. We can do anywhere on a mutton on any one of our systems at 3/4 inch all the way up to 8 inches. We can even do a full panel. You know, the one thing I do love about our company is I kind of call us a boutique manufacturer. Because we are flexible. We're not one to say no. If you had a design on any one of our products where you wanted to kind of create a wood door look, where you wanted it to be 2/3 light, and then at the bottom you wanted to have a full panel, you know, so to kind of create that wooden door look, we can certainly do that. We can do kick plates at anywhere from 10 inches up to, I've done them as much as 24 to 36 inches on some of these tall doors. So the flexibility that we have to kind of create a look for you is beyond you know, anything that anyone else can do. Here again, here you're looking at this. It looks like a wood door with just some different types of, looks like it's all divided lights. This is all simulated because the system was tested with glass. The glass is the structural component. all of that mimics is all surface applied. So you see the ability to kind of create and customize. This also can be done with side lights. So you're gonna, if you had an opening in an HVAC area that was 10 feet tall, 10 feet wide, but we know we can only do a panel width up to 5 feet. We can do side lights on either side at 2.5 feet to give it that nice look. Again, folding, I guess they wanted to make sure that you didn't forget about folding. Again, the ability to traverse in and out of that opening, commercial application with an ADA rated sill. All right, let's jump into objective number 2, high velocity hurricane zones in the systems. As I talked about, we do have 2 different testing, HVAC and wind zone 3. We are hearing some a scuttlebutt and some rumblings that when the next next codes come around for the building codes, the international building codes, we are hearing that they're going to change high velocity hurricane zones from the state of Maine all the way around to Texas. So this means the whole state of Florida could be coming up, could be an HVAC. Makes sense. We've seen the areas that have gotten hit lately, from Fort Myers up. Those areas have been, and of course the Panhandle. So TBD, we'll let you know if we hear anything, and that everything could change, and we could be dealing with high velocity hurricane zones throughout the whole state. But again, these are wind zones up to 130 to 150 miles an hour. Our systems have been tested to close to 200 miles an hour. So we got you covered. Here again is the high velocity hurricane zone again, but like we said, this could be changing, and the whole state of Florida could be HVAC. That's everything that we're hearing. High velocity hurricane zones are the tip, as I mentioned earlier. And just the different test criteria that we do test for. So the TSA 201, 202, 203, these are the wind zones and water ratings, air leakage. These are all the things that we do test for. All of our systems are tested for windborne debris. So as I had mentioned earlier, the sliding system has a DP rating of plus or minus 120. These are high winds up to 200 miles an hour. Our folding is plus or minus 70, and our pivots are at the same plus or minus 60. We've tested each system depending on the sill you use for folding. If you were to use a water rated sill, that thing has been tested to 15 PSF. Our sliding system with an embedded sill has been tested to 15 PSF. Obviously, the pivot system that I had mentioned earlier does not have a water rating, but with water management, we have played around with that, and we know that we can hit about a 9 PSF. There's nothing you're going to see in any publications, but these are just some internal testing that we've done. So again, the ability to be able to keep water away from an opening in a non-rated system is pretty cool. And then again, air infiltration. All of our systems have been tested for air. They all meet about a 6 PSF. I can get you more data. If you need that, just reach out to us and we can give you all this data for any of your projects. Again, if you've ever had the ability to see something tested in the state of Florida, I would highly recommend it. You just reach out to us. We'll let you know when we're going to be testing stuff. We got a bunch of stuff we're getting ready to go into the lab. We're going to be doing testing in Tampa. Again, cannon for HVAC, fired at the glass 4 times. The frame is fired 4 times. Once it looks like that, and the system has not, 2x4 hasn't blown through the glass or hasn't, knocked the frame out, what happens next is they bring in a jet engine and they will cycle test it. So if you look at this video, you can look at, it looks like lungs, looks like it's breathing. What happens for 50 cycles, they rev this jet engine up and they're forcing wind at that door for 50 cycles. If it does not blow the glass out, they stop the engine, they reverse it, and then they cycle it for 50 times, creating a vacuum, trying to pull the glass or the frame out of this system. As we know, there's 2 sides to the storm. The right side and the left side. The back side is it's coming around. The dirty side that they call it is everything that's trying to pull a system out. So again, we've tested for all that. Once it's reached that and it looks like that, and everything stayed intact, it's then stamped for an FPA. So you can know that these systems have gone through some brutal testing before they unleash them into the market. Again, the storms, for some of you that have decided to stay instead of evacuating, you've seen this. Bethany, she's one of those. As she's on the presentation with us, she doesn't leave. She says she enjoys the storm. Bethany, you're a little nuts. All right, objective 3, material strength and durability. How are these systems totally different, not created the same? It's the stainless steel. It's a different stainless steel we use. We use a 304 stainless steel. It's a hardened steel. These are used for the locking rods and for the components that hold everything in place. Then we also have a 316 the hardware fasteners. All of our systems come with stainless steel. It's not something that you have to ask for. Hinges are all stainless steel. Hardware, all stainless steel. Fasteners, stainless steel. We're manufactured in the state of Florida, so we manufacture automatically for those environments. How about paint finishes? There's 3 different types of paint finishes that some manufacturers will offer. If you ever see a 2603, that's an acrylic finish. You can see there, it gives you a 1-year warranty. Whoopty. 2604, which is the most common thing that you see, it's a powder coat finish. It's got a 5-year warranty for all types of things, fade, chalking. What chalking is are effects of the environment. If you ever walk by a system, especially on a bronze system, you see it where it looks kind of hazy, that's chalking. And humidity really affects that, and retention where it starts to fade. So that's the most common finish that we see with any manufacturer. Our standard finish is a 2605. It's a Kynar finish. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, these systems are already pricey as they are. And now you guys are going to offer stainless steel on top of everything and then a Kynar finish. I beg you to get a quote for us and let us do some budget pricing, and you'll see that we're typically about 20% less than the ones that have been around forever and ever that offer a powder coat finish. 10-year finish on coastal application standard with ours, 10-year for caulking fading. So again, the ability to offer a system and to know that we're going to handle the harsh environments that the state of Florida can throw at a system. Again, just the different things we have to worry about: salt spray, humidity, erosion, gloss retention, all these things that can affect a system. That's why we chose to go with 2605 Kynar. We wanted to make sure that these systems 10 years down the road looked exactly as the first day that they went in. Different types of aluminum that we're using. So there, you can use some that are, that some manufacturers get from overseas. Everything that we do is all the extrusions are done here in the States. We use a 6063, which you're going to see here is the ability to be able to extrude, corrosion resistance, the ability to bend it, to work it, to join it together. We just found that this type of aluminum just gives us a greater performance. This is how we're able to achieve some of these sizes that we can and still meet some of the wind requirements that are out there. How about glass? Not all glass is created equal. We will only laminate with an SGP. That is a product by DuPont. It's very rigid compared to a PVB interlayer. PVB is almost, if you were to hold up a piece of paper, you would see it kind of flop over. SGP is very rigid, and let's just shows you how much stronger it is. It also doesn't yellow, which is perfect. So anything with UV rays, it's not going to cause it to yellow over time. So let's just show you the difference between the two here. You're going to notice this little ball that's going to come down. When it hits that system, you notice it just flops right over. Looks like a piece of paper. That's a PVB interlayer. What happens with that if it gets hit by something in a storm? It could cause it to fall out of a glazing pocket. We don't want that. And then here's SGP. SGP takes the hit. It's still going to spider and break, but the glass is going to retain. It's going to stay in the pocket. It's not going to flip over. So again, that's how you're able to hit some of these higher design pressures and these sizes and be able to maintain that. Different glazing technologies. We get asked all the time, what is your standard? Our standards we can do the solar bands, we can do the low E's, 366 or 340s, but the ability to be able to do that, whether it's in a laminated monolithic piece or in a insulated piece. So the other thing that I love about our systems too is our glazing that we use is a 1/4 inch. Most of our competitors use 3/16. 3/16 is obviously it's a little bit cheaper, but it also is very limiting. It's not as strong, and it also limits you to the type of glass that you can use. For some reason, low iron glass has become very, very popular in design now, and it's because it's super clear. You don't get that greenish hue to it. If you were to look at normal glass, it kind of almost has a little bit of a green hue to it. Think of a Coke bottle. Um, but the problem with if you were using a product that was laminated with 3/16, you could not use low iron because the thinnest that it's floated is a 1/4 inch. So not an issue with us. Everything we do is 1/4 inch, so it makes it a 9/16 sandwich makeup. The airspace that you see here, same thing with the insulated piece as well. Material and finish options, thermally broken, wood clad. We can certainly do wood clad on the interior of a system. We have 3 different species of wood clad. We offer Doug fir, white oak, and sapelli mahogany, all the same price. We can do also exotic species of wood as long as they're sustainably harvested, not an issue. We can certainly handle that as well. Our aluminum finishes, as I had mentioned before, 2604 Kynar, we offer 4 standard. We offer black, bronze, white, and Arcadia silver. Arcadia silver was something that we came up with to mimic clear anodized. We offer clear anodized as well. But because of when you've ever dealt with clear anodized, the coastal applications 1 year, 3 years everywhere else, it pits. If it ever were to get scratched, you can't repair it. Arcadia silver can be repaired. And then again, you get the 10-year coastal application warranty. If you wanted a special paint, say you wanted Barney purple, not a problem. What we need is a control piece. You send it to us, just like going to Home Depot when you want to do a color match of something else. Well, we need about a 6x6 piece. You send that to us, we'll send it back to you, sign off on it, and then we can match that paint. It adds about 2 weeks lead time to it. Again, the takeaways, plastic parts and pieces, everything marine grade, types of steel used. Just remember, not all systems are created equal. All right, let's talk about the different doors. I had mentioned before, we can do a segmented curve, and I was going to tell you about the sill. So our sill and header, if you've ever dealt with another manufacturer that does a segmented curve, they do it truly, the header and sill comes to you in a segment. So it's like putting a puzzle together. You put it down into the opening, you put it together, you got to Tapcon, and then you got to mechanically seal each one of those joints, both with the sill and the header. Not a big fan of that because caulk doesn't look as good as it does when it's first done. And then over a period of time, that could be a leak point if you do have those mechanical seams. We take our sill and header, we send it to a company in Texas, they'll bend it for us. And that way we get one continuous sill. So the only thing you're doing is, drilling into your substrate to pump put your tap guns in, you pump them, put your tap guns in, not having to mechanically seal anything, you get a nice clean look. Straight configurations, I had mentioned before, there's different types of we can have them do different configurations. As I mentioned, the door at the jamb and the other 4 panels coming back, they can now slide on top of the other opening. If you wanted to mimic a French door look where you had multi-point handles on both doors, not a problem. You just need to let us know which one is the active component, but we can put two multi-lever handles on there so it mimics a French door look, and you can open them up. The segmented, I don't call that a segment. I call that open corner. The ability to do an open corner is not an issue. We can also do a split height configuration. So a split height configuration, and I'm going to show you a picture here in just a second, is the ability to take a counter unit and marry it to a full walkthrough unit, which is really neat. And we can also do that in an open corner that you see here. We just recently did a hospitality restaurant over on the West Coast where it was about 20 feet long, bar top application. They were able to put, bar stools there to more money revenue. Customers could sit there and eat. and then the ability to marry to a full walkthrough so they could get out onto the patio. When the systems come together, they lock together. There's no post there, meets all the air and water and wind load requirements for the FPA. Here we're just going to see an open corner configuration. Justin's going to open these systems up. You see how easily he's pushing that to the open side. There's a swing door configuration, and boom, you got that nice open corner. You're taking a smaller space, joining it here in this marina, and now to the outdoor deck. Again, just taking a small space, connecting it to the open, which is really neat. Here's a picture of a split height configuration that I was talking about earlier. It's not the best picture, and I apologize. If you do look where the large panel and the bar top unit are joined together, you'll see that it's slightly opened and there's no post there. So the ability to open that up and to have we call it a 2-in-1 or split height configuration. And again, the different configurations for folding. The top one, which is used to be very popular for commercial applications, that door at the jamb, the other 4 panels, as I'd mentioned before, the ability to slide those 4 panels back on top of that in Florida is really cool. Swing door configurations wherever you want them. Just remember, if you do have an odd number in a run, that's going to be your swing door, whether it's panel 1, 3, 7, 11, 13. That's always going to be your odd number. That's going to be your swing door configuration. And then down at the bottom of 5L, this could be 5 going left or 5 going right. The configurations are endless. Sills, the different sills that you can use. So the one at the top, the standard sill, is our weather rated sill. The drawing you see on the left-hand side, I'm not a big fan of because of the fact that it's an embedded sill. You're stepping down. There's really no way to deal with water management. The one on the right-hand side is the one that we're always going to recommend. Wade's always going to steer you to this one. The ability to have that natural step down and then weep the system the way it was engineered to bring that water out. If you do want to have something where you're doing a flush transition from inside to outside, the modified sill that you see here on the bottom is the perfect application. There's no water rating, but there is a way to manage water, and Wade can guide you through that. And then the ADA sill. So again, to meet that compliance for commercial applications. Different sliding configurations. Again, this can be done open corner, just like its brother, the folding system. These can be done in multiple configurations. They can stack to one side. They can bipart in the middle. They can pocket. As I'd mentioned earlier, Wade had done a 60-foot opening. We can do up into a 7-track on this. So just reach out to us and we can get you some details on that. Here's the system again. So you're going to see the depth. The sill, the header, and the jambs are all the same. The only difference is that little curved piece you see at the end, that's a condensation cap that goes to the interior. That is on the sill. The jambs and headers will not have that. Well, the condensation cap will be on the exterior on the header. But I was telling you earlier, you can see that division in between those, in between the risers there. That's a polyamide cap. The fasteners go through there. You snap that polyamide cap on there, and then the panels ride on that. You can put infill in between each one of those runs, and that makes ADA compliance. So the ability to have that sill totally disappear. Again, here's the embedded situation that you see there, and there's the infill that I was talking about. So the ability to allow you to traverse in and out of the opening and meet the ADA compliance. The only system right now that we have that can be automated is a sliding system. I had mentioned that Wade had done this one 60 feet. It was 2 motors. It was left and right. This is a really slow video. But this can be done with the push of a button. It can be done with an app on a phone. If you've seen some of my other presentations in person, you know that this can be dog activated. And what I mean is we had a guy that wanted to use a doggy door for this. So they put a tile on the dog's collar, the sensor. Dog walks up to it. The door opens about 18 inches, allows the dog to go out because, and it closes. So the ability, it's a lot of function. We are working with a company now that's also automating pivot doors. So stay tuned for that. Antimicrobial handles, different hardware finishes that we offer. white, bronze, black, and then antimicrobial. We know we're coming out of the COVID period, so that became a big thing, to be able to know that you're not passing germs back and forth. But again, that's the presentation. I do appreciate your time. You see Isaac's number down at the bottom. Isaac is our local rep there in Florida. Please, you can reach out to him, or you can reach out to myself. And my email is basically the same as Isaac. It's Mark, MARK, at Euro-Wall. Wade is Wade, WADE. And then Bethany, Bethany. Any of us are certainly more than happy to come help you out with anything. If you want us to come see you locally, we have a bunch of other presentations that we can help you out if you're looking for hours. But I want to thank you. And do we want to open any questions up, or do we need to go into a break?
Hey, Mark, actually, yeah, you've got some time left. We do not go on break until 10:05 technically.
Okay.
So yeah, we've if anybody wants to go ahead and type in your questions, please type in the question and answer box, and we can maybe answer some of those before we go on the break.
Okay. And one other thing I did want to mention, I talked about the warranty on the paint finish. Obviously, it's 10 years. It's a 10-year warranty across the board. So glass is 10 years, hardware systems, 10 years. You do not have to use a certified installer to do this. Pretty much all of our dealers in the state of Florida are coming to our location to get trained, so they will be certified. A lot of these guys will do the service work as well, but we do have a service crew, a couple of them that run up and down the state and all around the panhandle, that will do service work as well. If you have a project that has some special circumstances where you want to talk about water management, how we're going to get that out, you can reach out to us, and it could be myself, it could be Wade, it could be Isaac or Corey, depending on where you are located in the state. We'll come and look at that opening and help the general contractor understand what are they, where's the system, how's it exposed to the environment or to the elements, and how are you going to get water out? So we can kind of help you guide through that as well too. So we definitely want to make sure that the system, when it shows up, goes right in with no issues. Let's see if I see. Looks like the question and answers. All right, so I do see an answer. Wade is typing the answer for you on the water embedded sill. So I see we've got information for Sharon Clark. We'll make sure that we get you some info there. The doors are not rated for flood rated. Again, you will need something, a barrier, whether it's a little knee wall or something like that. But we do have the ability. We do know that, especially when Ian came ashore a couple of years ago, and we saw some of that water that came through Fort Myers. I can tell you that we got no calls with that. So that was a really good situation. Can you make a presentation to Baskerville? Yeah, we can certainly, Sharon, we'll come see you on that as well. Can you consider the HVA vandal resistant? We can, because of the fact that we have force omda testing. We can provide that because we laminate with the 9/16 and the SGP. It is so stinking hard to get into one of those things. We did fire a bullet at it one time. So let me caveat that these are not bullet resistant. It did go into the glass, but it did not penetrate. So we know these systems are really difficult to get in and out of. Wade's typing another answer to Magdalene there. There are not any fire rated systems because this is an aluminum product. We know aluminum has a pretty quick melting point. So unfortunately, we do not have a fire related system there. Do you have any options for Miami-Dade approval for in-swing pivot door? We do. So again, it's not going to be a water rated system, but we can do an in-swing pivot for Miami-Dade. Not an issue. It's on our product approval. So I think that's all the questions. I'll stay on
Okay.
just a little
Yeah,
bit
see if
longer.
anybody types anymore.
Well, I got you guys here. One of the systems that we do have now that's new are windows, fixed windows. So you saw the sliding system with the minimal interlock. We now have a fixed window unit that can, in a single opening, can go 7 feet wide to 14 feet tall in non-HVAC or up to 10 feet tall in HVAC. And the mullion now that goes with this is an inch. So it mimics the interlock on the sliding system. So if you want to do a transom above, instead of having to take a traditional storefront system that snaps together, when you do, you probably get about 2.5, 3 inches of aluminum there. You now have the ability with a Florida rated product in HVAC Miami-Dade and the rest of the state to do multiple. We just did a system in Sarasota that was almost 20 feet wide with the mullions were 1 inch all the way across. We did it in six pieces of glass. So again, the ability to do a fixed window, you'll see that probably next year in our presentation, along with the casement window. We've got butt glazing windows, so fixed windows with no metal that's coming out that's Florida product approved. So you'll see all that next year in some of the new presentations. Let's see, it wasn't too clear. Can you install these units in multi-story? Yes. So depending on the design pressure and what that building's rated for, we've done rooftop applications. We've done recently a hotel down in Miami, a condo unit as well, the Mandarin with the sliding systems. So we can certainly do multi-story buildings, not a problem. STC rating, Michael, yes, all of our systems are STC rated. They are rated right now. The first go around we did are the mid 30s. We're gone back into the lab to use an acoustical rated glass that will hit probably about an STC 41. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. So Peter is Wade is answering you. Yes, thermally broken products. All the systems are thermally broken. So I know Wade's typing that as well. I see Crystal's answering one. Are any of the doors flood rated or separate flood barrier systems needed? Yeah, that's the one, Joseph. We will need, they are not flood rated. They are water rated. So you will need a barrier for that. We will not be getting into skylight systems at this point. But who knows? But not right now, there's nothing. Nothing on the radar either for 2025. What you're going to see in 2025 are operable windows, the butt glaze, the storefront, and you will see a new folding system with thinner interlocks. I think that's it.
All right. Excellent. Well, great presentation, great participation from the attendees with your questions. Appreciate all the feedback. And we'll go